Once you put the patient in this state of nutritional ketosis, it opens up a whole array, a new array of drugs that may have been thrown out, not worked. That's called the whole field of repurposing drugs now. But once the body is in this new physiological state, things that were thought to be ineffective become super effective. So again, that's a whole new field that will open as the result once this information gets out more.
And you mentioned mebendazole in your talk as well. Does that have a glutamine blocking aspect to it as well?
Yes, that's in our paper also. That's another interesting thing. Parasite medications. I don't know about ivermectin because there was a lot of political stuff about that. So I said to the lab, we're not going to do that because we didn't want to get the wrath from somebody. But mebendazole, fenbendazole, I said, why people have taken that, and you hear people say, well, I got rid of my cancer with this and that. So I did a dive on it, and I said, why parasite medications work against cancer cells? And it turns out that the parasites use mitochondrial substrate level phosphorylation in the tissue. And these mebendazole, fenbendazole kill these parasites. So I tried it on the cancer cell, and sure as hell, it targets the mitochondrial substrate and glycolysis. So we have a mechanism now why parasite medications are working. But cancer is not a parasite. All these people say, oh, cancer is a parasite. It's not a parasite. Parasites and tumors use a common metabolic pathway, and a drug that works against parasites can be very effective against cancer. And that's what we begin to see, especially under nutritional ketosis. Yeah. Right? Can you imagine this?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
So ivermectin, it actually works on the mitochondrial cell death pathway, the BCL2 BAX-BAD pathway. So it actually helps push the cell death pathway.
So looking at the state of cancer treatment today, are people dying needlessly, would you say? It's a blunt question, but
yeah. Absolutely, and without question. So I actually was contacted by a patient over the weekend who told me that his oncologist and his surgeon said he could eat whatever diet he wanted to. It made absolutely no difference. And so that is what 99% of the standard of care is that, and that's why it's such a tragedy, is that the lack of insight and information. And this information's out there. It's not like it's hidden. You know, I showed you a publication in a prestigious cancer journal. This data is published. Dr. Seyfried has published this data in highly reputable journals. So this data is there in plain sight for everyone to see. They just don't want to see it.
Dr. Seyfried, do you agree? Do people die needlessly?
Oh, absolutely. When do you take a person sick and poison and irradiate them to make them healthy? I mean, it makes no sense. I call it medieval. What's shocking to me, as Dr. Merrick just said, most oncologists do not know that glucose makes tumors grow faster. That's why they say eat whatever you want, because they lack, it's scary to know that the person treating you for a serious disorder fundamentally lacks knowledge of the biology of the disease they're treating. I mean, that's very scary and unsettling, because these folks by the millions go to these top hospitals expecting to get appropriate treatment. And the folks at these hospitals are pretty much clueless as to the underlying mechanism that's driving their disorder. And that's not to say that we have millions of so-called cancer survivors who have tolerated an unbelievable torture and still survive. But here's the situation. That those little growths and things like that are in fact detected by our immune system. And cancer has been described by some well knowledgeable people as a wound that does not heal. And we have immune cells that go in. Now I'm coming to the metastasis part of the understanding, is that you have a small growth of cells, and you say, like, well, your immune system should come in and take care of them. And in many times it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And what happens is that the body's immune system looks at this growth, and they try to manage the cells, but the cells send off signals that look like a wound. And our body looks at that and then throws out cytokines and growth factors to try to heal the wound. The problem is if you have cells that are already slowly growing, those cytokines and growth factors could actually make those cells grow even faster. So the very system in our body that's designed to try to put out the fire is like throwing gasoline on a fire. So if you have these cells, our immune systems don't recognize, oh, this is cancer, oh, this is a stab wound or some kind of a contusion or whatever. Our fibroblasts and macrophages can heal that. But when it comes to an incipient cancer, the very program structures, the programs of those cells is in the wrong context, because what they're doing now is inappropriate and can actually foster that small growth to become worse. And then there's this fusion hybridization. We have cells in our body, macrophages, and when they heal wounds and the wound doesn't heal fast enough, the macrophages fuse together and they form these multinucleated giant cells. And we often see them in cancers. And you'd say, oh, wow, look at our immune system is being overwhelmed by all these dysregulated cancer cells. The problem is the mitochondria in the tumor cell is abnormal, leading to a fermentation and a dysregulated growth. So our normal cells see that, and they throw out the growth factors and cytokines, which is like throwing gasoline on this fire, making it even worse. And they think these cells are also programmed to fuse and to try to do a better job. It's like a 4-alarm fire. You get more fire departments in there, and they're fusing together all to try to put out this fire. What happens is the cytoplasm of the cancer cell and the immune cell in this fusion process dilutes the normal mitochondria in the immune cell. That cell is the cell that goes through the bloodstream, enters and exits tissues, and inhibits the immune system, because it is the immune system. That is the cell that is metastatic. That is the cell that spreads all around your body. They call, oh, I got cancer in my liver, it's in my brain, lung, all over the place. Those are macrophages. Those are our formerly normal cells that have now become corrupted. And they live on the same fuels, glucose and glutamine. And in order to kill these cancer cells, whether it's a singular location, a stem cell tumor that grows like crazy but can't spread, and then you have the normal cells come into the stem cell tumor, fusing, and then you get spread. And sometimes the spread could happen very early. They got cancer, what we call cancer of unknown primary, CUP. A lot of times, oh, I got cancer, it's all over my body. And they can't find the primary tissue. They can't find the primary organ. Cancer of unknown primary. It represents 5 to 7% of cancer deaths. I don't know where it came from. But all the cells in that cup, they're all macro. They're all part of the immune system, gone awry. So our very cells that are designed to protect us are the very cells that are killing us. So, and you need to know the biology of this. And it took me 30 years of constant research on some of the best animal models, and then you just go to the human literature and you see whether or not what I'm saying is corroborated by pathological reports from the human literature. And it all is. So we know precisely. It's just that the field, for whatever reason, they don't either read the literature, they don't understand the literature, or they come in with a mindset that prevents them from recognizing what I just told you. As long as you keep that body full of sugar and glutamine, the sugar and the high fructose foods that we eat, I mean, you're just letting that thing go crazy. So that's clear. What's happened now? Why did our ancestors and some of the primitive Aboriginal tribes have such a low level of cancer? Because of their environment. If you're in an environment where highly processed carbohydrate foods are in minimal supply, and you have a lot of exercise, we have a surveillance system in our body. And if we have a cell where the mitochondria may slowly become corrupted, that cell is consumed for the good of the whole. Our macrophages come in, see that cell, it's not performing, it's not living up to the society requirements, it's eaten. Excuse me. And then the molecules from that cell that was eaten are now distributed throughout the body for the rest of the cell. So you say, well, why Why did cancer become so prevalent over the last 50 or 60? I mean, we've had cancer since Neolithic times, but it was very rare. It was extremely rare, and now it's overtaking heart disease as the number one killer in Western societies. So what's going on? And we're allowing our cells to become lazy and fat, and we're not surveilling the body the way we should. It's hard to ferret out weak cells if there's always a surfeit of carbohydrate glucose in the bloodstream, because the rest of the cells become they're less proficient in weeding out the weak, the lame, the unfit, when everybody is fat and happy with all the sugar in our system. So there's no need to ferret out these dysregulated cells and then all of a sudden you find yourself with it spread all over your body, or you really have a big problem. So you can go back and look at the way most cancer is very rare in organisms that live in their natural environments. All right, wolves rarely had cancer. Very few of our primate relatives, the chimps, the gorillas, the orangutans, cancer is very rare in these animal species. Just like our aboriginal past, cancer is extremely rare. It's only within the last, say, 50 or 60 years, especially within the last 30 or 40 years, that we see this. Why is this? What is going on? It's not genetic. This whole nonsense about cancer being genetic is crazy. It's environmental. Wake up, people. It's an environmental situation. As soon as the Food and Drug Administration unleashed high fructose corn syrup, and as soon as our society became more dependent on technology, we lack our exercise. We're filling our bodies with glucose, and sugar is not a carcinogen, but it creates systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation will damage oxidative phosphorylation. As systemic inflammation allows you to be infected by viruses, oncogenic viruses. Your bodies simply become weaker when you're in these kinds of states. As I said before, we have an obesity epidemic. This propels people for type 2 diabetes, dementia, cancer, cardiovascular disease. It's all of these diseases together are called chronic diseases from our diet and lifestyle. Okay, diet and lifestyle are responsible for this problem. And, now you try to figure out, okay, what are we going to do to manage the system? Well, you could do prevention. As you know, most people don't care about prevention. Some do, most people don't. And then when you have cancer, people want some sort of a rapid cure, and you get all these toxic things that you're given when you do standard of care, and you have a bad problem, you make it worse.